we see wrestlers today wrestling longer into their prime or extending their prime. And you mentioned Chris Jericho, and he's kind of the one who's leading the whole thing. He is still one of the top stars on a national broadcast today. Now, you are always somebody who, and you're still in really good shape. I see your hikes, and I know you're still lifting weights. Do you ever like think about like, man, in this 7th match of Jericho something or other, rather than the pizza cutter guy, maybe that could have been me? Or has that completely behind you?
It's behind me. And I think the biggest thing, and my wife is the one that kind of drove it home, and I can't argue with her. I think her thought process, and I agree with her, is you got out and you're healthy. And hearing all the stories of guys you think got out and are healthy, and they're having, 3 neck surgeries and 4 elbow surgeries and, back surgeries and all these things they're having to fix at the end of their career. And it's like, I'm in pretty good shape. What's the point of risking that bad bump and then having the serious neck issues? It's not, especially because it's not there for me ego wise. It's like, I don't need another pop. I don't need to go out and hear a "you still have it" chant.
Could be a nice little payday there for you, though.
It could be, but this is maybe I'm being more modest than I should be, or maybe I'm just realistic. It's like, I'm not the level of star that garners the kind of payday that it's worth it. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not getting a Saudi Arabia payoff. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not getting, 50 grand to come in for a match. So it's
Right.
like, what's, a couple grand to do a match? It's like, it's not really worth the risk. And then too, and a few of, my friends who still wrestle have joked. It's like, well, yeah, but you have standards that like, if I can't go out there and put on my tights and look like I'm in good shape,
Right.
and while I'm in healthy good shape and could physically do it, it's like, I'm not in the cosmetic shape or even the cardio shape that I would want to be in. And the amount of work and time it would take for me to get in that shape again, even a 10 grand payday is probably not worth the 3 to 4 months of hard diet, hard training, hard conditioning I'd have to do for one match. If I was, like Edge, who came back for a run,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, he's going to do another 2 years. The 6 months of hard work to get into shape for it is worth it, because what he's going to make in 2 years, and Edge also garners a bigger paycheck than I would. But to just do it for one match, it's like I could go out and do a perfectly fine house show match that people would probably be happy with, but my standards are higher.
Yeah, I didn't mean to take a shot at Nick Gage there. That was just the labor of Jericho that came to my mind. I've actually met Nick Gage before. He was a very, very nice guy, and not what you see when you see him on television.
Well, and from a storyline standpoint, it's like I could have replaced Hoovy. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's in any spot, there certainly could have been a connection.
And the reason why I thought about it is because we just saw Jerry Lynn on television. We just saw Rob Van Dam do the match with, Jack Perry. So naturally, I think a lot of people would go, oh, I wonder if Lance is going to do something here. I think that's probably where, you are one of a few people who probably are being thought about by fans about where this story could be going.
Yeah. Like I'm still, and it's probably the only match I would ever consider again. And I would actually have to convince my wife to be okay with it, is if Jericho ever decides to retire in timely enough fashion that it's possible for me to do.
Yeah.
We have sort of, back in the day, made the pact and the intention that when we're both completely done, let's do one more together, because our first match in the business was against each other. Let's have our last one as well, and we will both bookend our careers with the same match. And I think that would be really cool. So
do you think he'd be able to ever call a match a retirement match?
I'm assuming there will be, there will come a point where he's not enjoying it anymore, or has just decided it's okay, it's time. Because I think too, Jericho has standards, and there will come a time where he can't be on this level, and he'll probably decide that, okay, I need to stop now, rather than being the, like back, when AWA was shutting down, there was guys that were clearly shouldn't be, he doesn't want to have the Bushwhackers Sheik and Volkov match.
Right.
So at some point, maybe when he's 75, he'll get to that point. I don't know. But there will be a time that he calls it quits. And if it's not 5 years, 10 years from now, then I would make the effort to get in, the shape needed to do one last one with him. But other than that, it's like I don't really have the interest, to be honest.